I must watch anywhere between 10 and 15 films each and every week without fail. Whether that's good or bad, I watch a lot of films. And there is an experience that you have if you're an avid film watcher every now and again where something just completely unassuming, you haven't necessarily heard much about it, just completely blows your socks off. Well, this happened to me recently, and I rewatched the film last night so that today we can have a little chat about it. I'm Jim, this is JimFLIX, and today my review for the absolutely masterful Past Lives. So, Past Lives is a Korean romantic drama made in 2023 by first-time director Celine Song. So this film is a debut, and I mean quite a remarkable debut, I have to say. It's filmed between New York and Korea. It's a very subtle, very simple story in a lot of ways, but it really made a big impact with critics and viewers the world over, and is just simply fantastic. So without further ado, what is the film Past Lives about? Well, the film takes place over the course of 24 years, and it centres around two characters who seem to have this enduring friendship / relationship that takes place over the course of these 24 years. So we meet our two characters at the beginning of the film, Na Young and Hae Sung, both living in Korea, both around the age of sort of, 12 to 15, roughly speaking, and they just seem to have this incredible bond. They, I want to say they're the best of friends. They kind of are best friends. Beautiful childhood friendship, which borders on the romantic. You see them holding hands. They just spend all their time together. They just have this fantastic chemistry and a beautiful friendship. But just after being introduced to the characters and their dynamic, we learn that Na Young is going to be immigrating with her family. They are moving to Toronto in Canada. Of course, she will be leaving Hae Sung behind. So they're separated, they go their separate ways, and then we join back up with them 12 years later. Hae Young is now living in New York. She's a writer, and just completely on a whim, she searches for Hae Sung on the internet, and she discovers that he actually put a post up trying to track her down. She's now changed her name to Nora, and they reconnect at this point. They then enter into a long distance relationship. She's in New York, he's still in Korea, and their relationship takes place over Skype. She's not able to visit him for at least a year. He's not able to visit her for at least a year and a half. So obviously things are somewhat difficult. And whatever happens without giving too much away. And we basically join the characters again 12 years later when Hae Sung is coming out of a relationship and Nora, Ha Young, is now married. So I don't really want to say too much more than that without giving it away. I want to keep the review relatively spoiler-free. That is the general setup to the film, and things play out from there. So the first thing that I want to say about the film, as obviously films are visual, is that the film looks absolutely gorgeous. Shot on 35mm, the most beautiful grain. The colours are rich, being that they're filmed on film, of course, but they are also somewhat subdued, not to the point of that I would call it desaturated, but it just has that beautiful film look where it's almost like it's like pastel, if that makes sense. Maybe that's the wrong way to describe it, but it's just the colours are rich, but they're not oversaturated, they're not in your face. It just has a beautiful filmic look to it. Just looks absolutely fantastic. All of the shots are very simple, very disciplined, very controlled, beautiful framing. The camera moves are a lot of static, but when the camera does move, it's very smooth, controlled, slow, disciplined, just completely in service of the narrative, which is one of the most important things. Not distracting, not over the top, not flashy, just beautifully simple, subtle and elegant, which is basically all the same words that I would use to describe the film in general. The storytelling, the performances, just incredible, amazing. The performances, they're absolutely fantastic. The guy that plays Hae-sung, an actor called Tae Yu, he gives such a heartfelt performance, but without going over the top. It's very gentle, a very, very gentle performance. You completely empathize with him and his attraction or longing to keep the flames alive or the friendship going with Nora Ha-young. But it's just so subtle. Little mannerisms he does. Like there's a point where she's taking a picture of him and he's just kind of fiddles in his pockets a little bit and doesn't know quite where to put his hands. A little bit out of place, and just a great performance. Greta Lee, the actress who plays Nora or Hae-young, is great as well. She's got an amazing energy, a great contrast to Hae-sung's character, but they just have this amazing chemistry, a real subtle chemistry, which I imagine was particularly hard to do because a lot of their interaction when they are together are over Skype, so literally just on a computer screen. So I think that was they did a fantastic job there. But the character that really stood out to me is Nora's eventual husband, played by John Majaro. His name is Arthur, and his performance is absolutely fantastic. Very subtle, but somewhat nuanced in as far as his character, he plays it for much of the film so that you kind of view him in one way, and then towards the end of the film, the last act, I don't know if it's his performance or the filmmaking, but he plays it in a way that you kind of look at him slightly differently. Because he is the husband of the love interest, you kind of want things to work out for Hae-sung and Nora. So he is what you would describe as the obstacle to them getting together, but you don't hate him by any means. You empathise with him. And it's just the way that the performances are done are so grown up and so nuanced, but also so simple and so real and grounded that it just works beautifully. And the main thing is it just works absolutely perfectly within the logic and the narrative of the film itself. So their performances they're completely in service of the film and just works exquisitely well. One thing else that I do want to say is the characters. They are multi-dimensional in a brilliant way, which works incredibly well for this film. It really warms you to the characters, and I want to say you kind of feel like you know them, but it's not that you feel you know them. You feel like you understand them. They show their vulnerabilities, they show their passions, they show their characters just in general, their desires, their wants, their needs, their motivations. All sides of the characters are shown in just such a subtle and understated way that it's beautifully done. Which brings me to, I guess, the last point I want to make about the film, which is basically just the story. The story itself, which is very, very clever, but very subtle, very downplayed, and very simple. I mean, essentially, it's the story of childhood friends who reconnect after many years and have somewhat of a relationship over Skype, and then we meet them again 12 years later. And I mean, it's just very simple. They have a connection, but one's in a relationship, one's married. Very simple, but it just has so many subtle layers to it, and it just really, really touches on human nature. And it's just such a mature way of telling this kind of story, and it just covers so many things in such a beautiful way without it being a jam-packed film, if that makes sense. It's very plain, very simple. Just a lot is done with a lot of very simple gestures and a lot of very simple storytelling, which is just amazing, really, when you consider that this is a debut. Like, it is a special film. It is absolutely phenomenal, and the fact that it's a debut is it's pretty jaw-dropping, to be honest, because the film, particularly the storytelling, is breathtaking. It's just beautiful, beautifully done. It takes place over 24 years, like I said, so you do get to see the development of the characters and the themes that are kind of running through the development of the characters. I would say that the main theme basically is to do with identity identity and the way that your identity can change depending on the people you're with, the environment you're in, the context. You're the same person, but you essentially have different sides to your personality, for example. And I think that one of the themes of the film, the thing that I really got out of it, was the fact that Nora, or Hae-young, has emigrated from Korea to America. She finds herself, in America. She kind of identifies with that culture, with that lifestyle, but she has a yearning, I think, for her past in Korea. And I think that Hae-sung is kind of a representation of that, that yearning for her past or for her roots. There is a great line in the film where when Hae-sung and Nora meet and they're spending some face-to-face time with each other, she's explaining her relationship with her husband, and she says that it's like two trees put in one pot and their roots are searching for their space and where to go. And that's almost like her, her story. She's been uprooted from her past, plonked in a completely different environment, and her life has been essentially the tension between her past and her future, between where she comes from and where she's going, which is just so beautifully done in the film. It really comes out, but it's not overly stated. There's no clunky exposition. It's just so elegantly done. I really cannot say enough about this film. So at the risk of rambling on, I'm going to bring this one to a close. This film is just absolutely sensational. Really, really is a film worthy of your time. Repeat viewings are essential. It is just amazing, absolutely incredible. I look forward to seeing what Celine Song comes out with next. I believe she has done a film as of recording this video. The name of it does escape me, but that is going to be on my watch list once I turn off this camera, because it has jogged my memory. And just a special, special film. So do yourself a favour, get out there and watch Past Lives. Sensational, breathtaking and beautiful. A really mature, emotionally mature and elegant film. What am I going to rate Past Lives? I'm going to give it a very, very strong 8.7 out of 10. I loved it. It's definitely in my top 100, potentially in my top 50. I think with a few more viewings, it may squeeze its way into my top 30, but that'll be a video for another day. Like and subscribe. Comment down below if you've seen Past Lives, if my review has inspired you to watch it, what you thought of the film, if you've watched it, whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong, any thoughts you have, any comments is welcome. Thank you very much. Take care.